Now, we'd go out on night patrols, and when I went up there, I had been made a sergeant, what they call an acting sergeant. I kept my stripes for weeks, like instructing the men on the guns that I knew. And of course, when I got up there, I just became a private again, because you've got trained men have been up there weeks before you and they know their work. So it'd be no use me as a sergeant not knowing what to do to tell them.
Yeah.
But the same thing didn't apply to the officers. There's some of the officers there, they were the biggest clots that ever drew breath, but they were in reinforcements with me. They kept their rank, and honest to heavens, the things I could tell you about them, it would take weeks. But they called me in, the captain had called me in, and he said, "You were in the militia before the war," and I said, "Yeah." He said, "Do you know much about this and that?" I said, "Well," I know all there is to know on the Vickers gun, and I said, "I know the boys' anti-tank and the rifles and things like this." Well, he gave me one stripe, but it's the first step on the ladder. I ended up with 3 stripes and a crown at the finish. But they gave me one officer called me in the daytime. He said, "I'm going to let you take a patrol out tonight." Now, I had never been on a patrol before, and I had to take 3 men with me. It was they had different patrols. They had what they call a reconnaissance patrol, where you'd go out like we were going out, checking to see where the mines were, to see whether the Germans had moved any mines up at night time. And we had to go right round, and they'd give you a compass, and they'd give you certain things. They'd say, "Now, when you go out through there, you'll walk for 100 yards or 100 paces on 5 degrees on your compass." So you'd walk on that, and you'd have a bloke alongside you counting your steps until you reached 100, and then you'd read your compass, and you'd look at your next. What I did, I used to have a notebook, and I'd write my instructions on where I was going on great big letters, so that even at night time there was a bit of a glare from the hit back from the sand. I could read it and I'd know where to go next. So you go zigzag on legs everywhere, looking for sand being disturbed. And the only way you could tell if there had been anything there, there'd be a slight dew every night, and all the sand would end up flat like that, and it had a crust on it. Now, if they put a mine in, they would make a thing like a cow pat. They'd have to dig it, and at night time you'd see it. And these mines, what they call a telemine, they're about the size of a soup plate, and they carried about 2 kilos of high explosives. And if you tramped on them, well, you were just curtains. They just blew you to pieces. That wasn't bad enough. They had what they call a jumping jack, and it was about the size of a 2-pound jam tin, and it was inside it they had some explosives, and all that was ever showing it through it was a little like a fork, an ordinary kitchen fork, 3 little things like that on the top, and they'd bury that in between these great. Look, sorry, that was about the size of the telemines, about that big. See, now they had spikes going in here, and we found if you pulled that spike out, it had the detonator, and therefore it didn't matter if you tramped on that, and it wouldn't go off because you've got the detonator. But then when they realised we were doing this, they used to put them underneath, so that if you pulled that out and you think, "Oh, she's right, mate," and you told them, "Gosh, you've got a live thing," bang, up you go. Well, I took my group out, and it wasn't an easy job getting through the wire, because you'd go out here through your wire, and there was a trench here about 10 or 15 feet deep and about 10 feet wide. That was an anti-tank ditch all the way around, but it was filled in. Anyway, to get through that, and you get through your wire, and then you'd be in amongst your own minefield, and you had to watch what you're doing there, and the Germans would be firing against you like that. If you're coming through here, they're there and they're there, and they'd be ripping off with this. They couldn't see you, but they knew you'd be probably there, and every now and again they'd let a burst go, and they'd get you getting through the wire, so you might be just putting your leg across the strength of the wire, and there'd be a burst of machine gun fire, and if you were lucky it'd go over your head or past you, but you know, sometimes you get shot on the wire itself. So I took this group through here, and I did all this parading backwards and forward, and I'm just about to step forward, and I had got them in behind me, the men. I said, now listen, keep behind me, and don't put your foot down, don't move until I've moved on. And then the bloke behind me puts his foot on where my foot was, and we used to follow each other's footsteps like that, you see. And I came to a halt, and I'm looking around, and I said, hello, there's telemines here. I could see the big mark like cowpats, and I was just about to sort of get down to have a look at it, and I had a look, and I thought, my God, these little prongs, you can see these prongs in between. If I'd lain down, I'd lain on one of those, you see. So I said to the blokes, I said, now listen, I'll just check this thing out and make sure what it is. I crouched down, and I got my bayonet out, and I pulled the sand aside, and I felt in, I could feel the detonator there, and went round the other side, and I said, yes, they're all primed. So I said, just be extra careful now and just don't tramp anywhere. So I managed to lead them back out again, and I was just trying to think some of the things that happened there. Another time we were out on a now that time there, I went in and reported where I'd been. I drew a map and I showed them where I'd been. I showed them what I thought, and you had to report back to what they call intelligence, you know, back to headquarters. And after I'd done my dash, they called another couple of blokes up and questioned them. Then I thought, what the hell are they questioning me for like this? They seem to be doubting me. Anyway, it turned out this lieutenant that had been out the night before, he had reported no mines there. And they said to these two blokes that are with me, now what did this bloke Hammill do? And they told me, and he said, right, well, he's telling the truth. They got another couple of blokes that had been on patrol with this other bloke the night before, and said, now what did Lieutenant so-and-so do? So, well, look, we never got outside our wire. When we came to our wire and they started up with the fixed lines, they lay there for hours, never shifted, and then went back in. And then he put a report that had been all around where I went, and there were no mines.
Oh, no.
Now, he got kicked out there, and you won't believe this. When I got back to Palestine 3 months afterwards, he's got another extra pip on his shoulder. He's a captain in charge of trucks movement control. Oh. So he got kicked upstairs. He was no good as an ordinary soldier. He might have been all right in an office, you know. Mm. But this is the sort of thing that, you know, here.